Bionicle Adventures 10 Time Trap. Written by Greg Farshti. Recording by Toatapionuva. Chapter 3. Matoran from other parts of the city rarely traveled to Ko-Metru. It wasn't so much that Ko-Matoran were unfriendly, although they often were. It had more to do with the overwhelming silence that blanketed the district, day and night. Takua had once said that he always started speaking in whispers as soon as he crossed into Ko-Metru, although he was never sure why. The last time Vakama had been here, the Metru was deserted of everything but Rahi. The knowledge towers still stood, but were badly damaged by the earthquake that had rocked the city. At least, that was the last time Vakama remembered being here, and there was certainly no evidence now that any of it had ever happened. Ko-Matoran filled the streets, the knowledge towers stood tall and proud, and even the chutes were running on time. Under ordinary circumstances, seeing the Metru intact again would have been a dream come true. Today, it felt more like a nightmare. Vakama was so lost in thought that he almost walked right into a huge ice sculpture. He looked up to see it was the figure of a Toa wearing a great mask of illusion. Carved at the base was the name Toa Ariae. Of course, thought Vakama, he would have been Toa of Ice if Likan hadn't chosen Nuju. More proof that either the universe has gone insane, or I have. I vote for the universe. On a quiet side street, he found the knowledge tower in which Nuju had worked as a Matoran. The scholars inside the front doors firmly insisted that he could not ascend to the upper levels for any reason. It was only when he mentioned bringing a piece of equipment that would make Nuju's telescope 10 times more powerful that they agreed to let him pass. They were so excited by the prospect of a better view of the stars that they never even asked to examine the part, a good thing since it did not exist. Nuju, a Matoran once again as well, was hard at work scanning the skies for astronomical evidence of Matanui's will. He didn't even turn around at the sound of Vakama's entrance. "Whatever it is, leave it," said Nuju. "If you can't leave it, then take it back out with you. If it's too heavy to carry back out, then how did you get it in here in the first place?" "Nuju, I need to speak with you." The Ko-Matoran peered over his shoulder at his visitor. The eyepiece of his mask extended and retracted as he took a closer look. "You're Vakama, aren't you? The one who built the telescopic lens into my mask?" "That's right," Vakama replied. "I need your help. It's about the Mask of Time." That was enough to get Nuju's attention. "You finished it? Where is it?" "I don't have it with me. I need to know if there are any legends about the powers it is supposed to have." Nuju flung his arms up into the air. "Legends? There are legends about everything, Vakama. Sometimes I think all Matoran dual days make up legends. Be specific." "Nuju, something is very wrong in this city," Vakama began. "I know. We're under attack by savage foliage," Nuju said acidly. "Is that all?" "No, I mean things are not the way they are supposed to be. You should be a Toa." Nuju stared at Vakama for a moment in stunned silence. Then he burst out laughing. The noise sounded doubly loud because Ko-Metru was always so quiet. "Me? A Toa? Not for all the purified protodermis in Ga-Metru," Nuju said, turning his back on Vakama. "All right, you had your little joke. You can leave now." Vakama took 3 quick steps, grabbed Nuju, and spun him around. "I'm not joking. None of this should be here. The knowledge towers have been shattered, the power plant destroyed, the archives broken open, and there are Rahi on the loose in the city. I've seen it, and so have you. Don't you remember?" Nuju nodded slowly. "Sure, Vakama. Whatever you say. And you think the Mask of Time had something to do with this? Well, I could be of more help to you if I could examine the mask. Is it somewhere you can get it?" "No, Vakama paused in mid-sentence. For less than a split second, the chamber had changed. The walls suddenly had great cracks in them. Ice bats were nesting in the ceiling. Nuju was not there. In fact, Vakama was standing alone. And he was a Toa! As quickly as it had changed, the room flashed back again, becoming the neat, orderly workplace of a Komatoran seer. Nuju was waving a hand in front of Vakama's mask. "Hello?" asked the Komatoran. "Are you in there? I don't think the mask of time is the problem, friend. I think maybe your own mask is on too tight. But go and get me the mask you made, and I will see what I can find out." Vakama was about to explain that he didn't have the mask, someone had stolen it, but he thought better of it before the first word was spoken. Something was telling him that maybe it was better if no one else knew about that, at least not until Vakama had a better idea of what was going on in Metru Nui. As it turned out, he wouldn't have had the chance to say anything to Nuju anyway. The Knowledge Tower observatory window was shattered by a squad of Vaki Kirak. They stormed into the chamber and advanced on Nuju, stun staffs at the ready. "No!" cried the Komatoran. "I was working! He interrupted me! Look, I was right in the middle of—" The Vaki staffs flashed. The power of confusion they contained took effect instantly, as Nuju lost all sense of where he was or when. "And he's not the only one," thought Vakama grimly as he ran from the room. Vakama took a shoot to Gametsu. Just like every other spot in the city, it looked perfectly normal. Scholars and educators traveled back and forth from school to school, most of them so buried in their notes they could have walked into a giant muaka without noticing. He spotted Nokame talking with a blue toa. As he approached, he recognized the hero as Visola, an old friend of Nokame's and evidently now the Toa of Water. She was giving the Matoran a pretty stern lecture. "You should know better," said Toa Visola. "All research and experiments have to be approved by a Toa. That's the law. If I reported you to the Vaki—" "I know, Toa Visola," Nokame answered quietly. "Thank you for not informing the Vaki Bordak, Toa Visola. I won't do it again." "See that you don't." Visola caught sight of Vakama approaching and snapped, "What do you want, Tamatoran?" "Just, passing through," Vakama answered, looking up into the great komau, the mask of mind control that Visola wore. "I had a delivery to make at a school near here." Visola nodded, though she did not look convinced. "All right. I don't have time to waste talking to Matoran. I'll see you later, Nokame. Remember what I said." The Toa jumped into one of the protodermis canals and swam off. Vakama watched her go. When he turned back, Nokame was walking quickly away from him. He had to run to catch up with her. "Where are you going?" "Back to work, Vakama," she said, not looking at him. "That's where I belong. I have classes to teach, and—" Her voice broke. Vakama put a hand on her shoulder. "What is it, Nokame? What's the matter?" "Oh, it's my own fault," she said. "I was experimenting with energized protodermis, trying to figure out how it does what it does. But I didn't ask permission of Toa Visola first. You know that any new study has to be cleared by the Toa or Turagaduma." Right," Vakama answered. "Remind me, why was that law passed?" She looked at Vakama as if he had grown another head. "Why, to keep us from becoming Toa, of course. After Visola and the others became Toa Metru using the Toa stones, they convinced the Turaga that 6 Toa were enough for one city. Just in case there was some other way for a Matoran to become a Toa, they banned all research to make sure no one accidentally discovered it." "That's crazy," Vakama snapped. When he saw a Gamatoran staring at him, he lowered his voice. "Becoming a Toa is destiny at work. You can't pass a law banning destiny." Nokame shrugged. "Tell that to the Toa. My friend Anawa stumbled on an unexplored cave in Pometru, and Toa Akmu caught him. Akmu turned him over to the Vaki, and Anawa hasn't been the same since. He goes from work to home and back again, and jumps at every shadow." "Turagaduma, the real Turagaduma, would never stand for this," said Vakama. "What do you mean, the real Turagaduma? There's only one, you know." "It's a long story," Vakama answered. "Listen, I need your help. I'm trying to research the Mask of Time, what it can and can't do, that sort of thing. I thought you might know where there are some carvings about it, something the knowledge towers don't have." "There might be something in the Great Temple, But I couldn't take you there, Nokama said. If Isola or the Vaki caught us... Then they won't. Maybe Anawa is in no shape to help us, but I'm sure Wenua and Matau would. Nokama stopped in her tracks. Matau? That's not very funny. What? Vakama, Matau died a month ago when the chute he was in was attacked by a morbuzak vine. Everyone knows that. The two Matoran said nothing to each other for the remainder of the trip to the Great Temple. Vakama was more convinced than ever that someone had misused the Mask of Time and made all this happen. But if Anawa had become a coward, and Matau had been killed, he was no longer sure even the mask could set things right again. And that's assuming I ever find it, he reminded himself. If I'm right and someone took it from me when I was a Toa, I still have no clue who that someone might have been. It didn't look like Makuta, but then who knows what Makuta really looks like. So you made the Mask of Time? Nokama asked. I mean, that is why you want to research it, right? Yes, I made it. I hope you have a good hiding place for it. Otherwise, the Toa will be sure to take it from you. Vakama chuckled. It's so well hidden, even I'm not sure where it is. I'm serious, Nokama said sharply. Maybe you should tell me where you hid it, just in case. You might think it's a safe spot, and it's not, and I could suggest a better place. After all, you were never good at hiding things, Vakama. Discs, tools, Toa stones, shoot passes. I won every game of lose and seek we ever played. Vakama glanced at his companion and smiled. Yes, you did, didn't you? Except for that game near the Great Furnace. If the Vaki had come by that time, we would have both lost. Nokama laughed loudly. Yes, you're right. That was some game. I do remember that. I was sure you would, Vakama replied. I've lost a lot of games lately. I think it's time I started winning some. The two continued on their journey toward the spiritual center of the city. Vakama got a sudden flash of the great temple as a burned-out ruin, and the surrounding protodermis canals cracked and leaking. He almost turned to look at Nokama, but then stopped himself, because he was not at all sure what he would see. Lose and seek, he thought. Is that what I'm playing? I lost my Toa power, my friends, my past, my whole reality. But where do I seek it? How do I get it back? And most important of all, who am I playing against? End of chapter 3.